Hello. Hello, 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 hello. And hello. Hello, Akiro, hello, Chibin, hello, Dark. Of those three, CC only paid attention to one. Oh, and Lewis, hello. It makes sense as we were Bioshock, because we're starting this stream underwater. Hi. It's Lewis. How is everybody doing on this Wednesday evening / afternoon / Thursday morning, depending on your time zone? And also a shark. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I think I've been looking into it. I think I can change you know when we do group draws or group streams, I think I can change our little names in the corner that have a light that glows, that flashes whenever you speak. I think I can change that into 2 pictures so that it's like a picture of you and then a picture of you with your mouth open when you're speaking. So yeah, let me know what you want. If you're likely to be on a stream with me, let me know what you want for your little pictures and then I'll work on that at some point. So I can have a shark that just goes bah. Can't wait for the reveal where the Boys of Silence are actually clones of the Backstreet Boys. I know! But it's just, can have just little, I think people call it PNG tuber, but just so we can have those up in the corner instead of the names. When we do group streams, I have like the Discord call. There's a little light, you have all the names in the side and then a light shows up when you're speaking so that everybody knows who's speaking. And I thought you could have little pictures of each other just going meh whenever you speak. Ah, the scaling triangle. Keep triggering those. What is a Backstreet Boy? I'm pretty sure they're back. It's as much as I know, really. Yeah. Welcome to the final stream. I promise it'll be the final stream. We are in the final cutscene, as it were, but there's still a lot to do, so hopefully I can get it all done. But yeah, welcome to the final stream of the Bioshock Infinite Drawthrough. Hopefully everything's made sense up until now. If not, I will do a very quick recap of the entire game before we carry on, because a lot of it's important, and it's been 12 weeks since we started, so I can imagine a lot of people have forgotten a lot of things. And Kniff. Oh no, I'm being threatened already, and I haven't even said anything about rowing. Right. Okay, so let's do a very quick recap. Let me check my microphone is pointing in the right direction this time. It is. Fantastic. Yes. Yeah, oh, no, we don't want the prompt from our previous drawing stream. The scaling triangle. Alright. Very, very quick recap of the entire game. So we are Jack Walters, arriving on a boat towards a lighthouse, being rowed by a man and a woman who refuses. In it, we are given a box, which has a picture of a girl and some other stuff, and on the picture of the girl, it says, "Bring us the girl, wipe away the debt." We're going towards this lighthouse. We also randomly generated some bits and bobs for the purposes of the story later on. These two talk about some stuff. They talk about the woman doesn't want to... says that she doesn't really believe in an experiment that's happening, and the man's she refuses to row, and she asks whether or not Jack should row, and the man says that Jack doesn't row. So we then make our way to the lighthouse, and we go to the lighthouse and we get shot up into the air in a weird chair thing, and we go to the city in the clouds, which we sort of see in the background here, even though it's kind of broken. It was in the slides, also preemptive. Ooh. Therein we find that the city in the clouds is sort of governed by a prophet figure called Lord Jefferson, and the city is called Columbia, and says things like, "The prophet was raised from us the Sodom below to his new Eden." It's all very religious and evangelical. We arrive at the city wherein somebody promptly tries to drown us by baptism, and we arrive like that. And we have a bit of a dream about waking up in an office with somebody banging on the door saying that we need to open up. And we open the door and a city is being bombed from above. Manhattan, to be precise. We then arrive at the city, and there's some imagery with the America stuff. Most of this isn't particularly important. We get a letter when we arrive saying we need to go to Monument Island. We can't let Jefferson know we're here, and we should not pick number 47. This is from an F. Locksman. We then explore the city a little bit. There's some stuff that happens, like bees. There's a mechanical horse, some happy things. We learn how to possess ghosts. There's some questionable treatment of disabled people. And then we meet these two, who we now know to be Flora and Fauna Locksman. So do you do the thing in this recap? So one blow. No! Jack would be uncomfortably damp at this point. Jack would just be uncomfortable in the entirety throughout this entire draw through. So yes, we meet Flora and Fauna Locksman, who we now know to be Flora and Fauna Locksman. Quite why they couldn't give us the note here, or just tell us not to pick number 47, or what that means, I don't know, but they're here. And they ask us to flip a coin. We flip a coin, it's heads. And they've gotten a lot of heads from the time that they've been doing this. Flips heads. Who'd have thought? Carnival of Bees, fun, casual racism, and ghost possession. Flipping a coin. It's a good carnival. I think it's just a fair. Anyway, we carry on. We do some stuff. We find out that Flora Locksman is the person who made the science to make this entire city float in the air. And there's somebody called the False Shepherd that has BW on the back of their hand, which Jack does. Carved, as it were. Or branded or something. A scar is there. There's the hookshot business, there's a raffle, racism happens, we attack policemen, everything's on fire, we fly through the air, and then things happen. Most of this is not important to the purposes of the end. Anything to do with like racism or social, any kind of social commentary this game had is now completely irrelevant, so we can just ignore all that. These two appear again and they give us some glitchy stuff. More racism and ostriches. Racism. We meet up with Jefferson. He says he knows all about us. He's a prophet. He knows a lot of things. And he knows about Wounded Knee. He knows about Peking. He knows about Berry. And then we get a nosebleed. We then attempt to take an airship. We fail. We get to Monument Island, which we now know to contain a massive machine called the Siphon. Racism. There's a lot of it. So we get into the thing. There's a huge machine in there called the Siphon, which suppresses Issa's powers. We'll meet Issa in a second. And yeah, we get to the top, we find Issa. Where is she? She is, there she is. She can rip holes in the fabric of space-time. The whole thing is irrelevant. A lot of things are irrelevant. Hi, Christy. So yeah, she can just sort of rip holes in the fabric of whatever. The Siphon, which is this big building, is stopping her from being able to make her own. She can just find stuff and do it. She's also missing a finger. She has a thimble on it. We attempt to rescue her by falling through the ceiling and she throws books at us. We eventually get out and Chickham arrives to say hello and stop us because Chickham is the guardian of Issa in this tower. We escape, destroying the tower in the process, and then some other... then we have Room Dream number 2. Issa's now in there. Somebody's still very insistent that we open the door and we've got debts to pay. It's not a good time. We wake up on the beach, some stuff happens, blah, 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 blah. It's not particularly important. Just rocketing through. We're on week 6 now. We find the Locksmans again. They offer a brooch to Issa, who can have either the bird or the cage. Spoiler alert, it didn't matter. We saved some races, not some racists, but we saved for some people from racism, and they thanked us. We got stabbed in the hand. Some more stuff with Vigors, Bitses and Bobses. I think we can probably skip that entire area with Thaddeus Campbell. It's not important anymore. No, Thaddeus Gajibli, that's his name. Where did Campbell come from? Is Thaddeus Campbell a person? Where did that Campbell come from? We get here some racism, more racism, slavery racism, Slavacism. And in all, we need to get a gunsmith who turns out he's dead. He got killed. So in order to stop that from happening, these two arrive again and point out that, hey, he might be dead here, but he's probably still alive in another alternate parallel world, which Issa can get to by traveling through these tears. So we do, and we leave Columbia number 1 behind and arrive at Columbia number 2, where everything's fine, apart from the fact that there's a semi-revolution happening, and a lot of the people that we killed along the way are having nosebleeds, because they remember being alive and dead. Speaking of being alive and dead, our friend here, he was alive. And then we go and meet him. He is alive now. He was dead in the other world, but he's alive here. However, he's also having a bit of confusion because he's not well. He thinks he's working on machines that aren't there. So we try and help out by going and getting his machines back, his tools, some more the racism stuff. We don't think about how we're going to get the tools back, so we just travel to a world where there aren't tools here. So we guess that they're going to be back where they should be. They are back where they should be, but now the gunsmith is dead again. Lots of live and dead. Issa's having a bit of an issue with whether or not she's actually killing people by doing this. You know, by causing these worlds to exist. It's a thing. Justly stabbed in the hand. Look. It was a vote. Yeah, we then the racism story ends. And we just sort of carry on, forgetting that was ever a thing. Issa has to stab somebody. Doesn't have a good time, ends up cutting her hair and putting on a new dress. Chicken stops us from leaving again. We come up with these two. Once again, they're talking about pianos and how there's a tune, but it needs the right instrument to work and so on and so forth. They disappear. We have another altercation with Chicken. We need to get through a gate. We do so by summoning we don't summon the ghost of Issa's mum, who turns out not to be Issa's mum. It's fine. So the siphon arrives, essentially, sucks out some power from Issa, and causes a dead person to turn into a ghost. It's never quite justified, but it happens. These two are back. They start talking about how everything is a matter of perspective, and, you know, has this person died, or are they dying, or will they die, or dies, died, will die, lives, live, will live. It's all a matter of perspective. The delicious question is when, etc., etc. They are peculiar. And we need to learn some more about what's happening here, in particular the fact that they're both dead. Or they died, but then they came back somehow, because they complained that their funeral photo wasn't very good. We then find that they've been doing some experiments, and as a consequence of those experiments, Issa is not actually the daughter of Lady Jefferson, as was believed. Or at least we don't think so. Lady Jefferson certainly doesn't seem to think so, because apparently she is the product of the experiments that were being done here with Flora Loxman and Lord Jefferson. Furthermore, as a consequence of those experiments, Father Jefferson is sterile. I said we'd get to the balls. We did. They aren't, but they are, but maybe not in the future, past, present, precisely. We also discover that that the Loxmans were sort of communicating before they properly met, and they were communicating by vibrating atoms in a particular way, with sort of quantum locking them and communicating via Morse code. But eventually they met up, and in doing so, Fauna, the male Loxman, grumpy face, that matches very well with what you just said. Yeah, the male Loxman had a bit of an issue with meeting up and needed a bit of recovery. So that happens, and then they get killed. It turns out they get killed by Jefferson for reasons. And racist man gets to keep all their patents. It's raining very heavily here. I don't know if you can hear that. I apologize. More ghost shenanigans happen. We arrive at Jefferson House, where Chicken takes Issa because it's incredibly strong. We have a third dream, the office dream. The door is now open. People banging on the door are in the dream now. Flora and Fauna Loxman. Issa's still there now in her new getup. And instead of going through the front door where the big old bomb thing was happening, we go through a side door. Whereupon we wake up, and we seem to have been teleported into the future. We meet the Noise Boys. There's the Noise Boys. They're having a good shout. And we've been teleported into the future, where Issa is regressing her decision to become, or regressing everything that she's done, because she's been brainwashed into becoming the new prophet evangelical person, and is drowning in flame the mountains of man, as the prophet said. There she is. And she wants to send us back into the past to stop that from happening. There's a paradox there. If you're going to get hung up on that, you're not going to like this stream. Don't worry about it. So we get sent back to the past to stop that happening. We get back to young Issa, who is being experimented upon with the siphon. We destroyed the siphon thing, which in turn allows Issa to open up a tear into a place that just kills everybody because there's a twister there. We help her out. She threatens us with a twister if we try and get in the way of her killing Jefferson, so we don't. We say that we're going to do it for her. We then go to Jefferson's balloon. We work our way up the balloon. We learn about the siphon. And we meet Lord Jefferson, finally, the person in charge of this whole thing and who's caused all these problems to happen. And he says he's done everything for Issa's own good. The Clip Studio is desperate to save. I haven't done anything, but don't worry about it. And he says that he sent armies after us to stop us, but he could have done it much more simply by just asking us to ask Issa what happened to her finger. If you remember, one of her fingers is not there. And he says we know why, and that is enough to bring us down. We don't know why, apparently. Jack says he doesn't know why. And so we just sort of just kill him by smacking his head on the side of a font and then drowning him in it. Going back, time is fine, but you'll only affect that timeline. We'll get to that. And Issa's like, what did he mean about the finger? And Jack's like, I don't know. And Issa says, I think you do know. You just don't remember. We then have a fight on a thing, and Chicken's our friend now because we've got an instrument that could help Chicken, that controls Chicken. So we have a fight involving Chicken. We destroyed the statue, the siphon that was containing Issa's power. Now she's released of her power, and she just completely, as Chicken comes to attack us, changes the world. And we are now underwater in a different city. If you play Bioshock 1, you know where we are, but it's not particularly relevant. And Chicken dies because of compression, essentially. Smooch Chicken. There are many worlds in which you can smooch Chicken. That's how that works, and if this game says otherwise, you'll ignore it because it's made by idiots. It's one of those games that's just best if you don't think too hard about it, and we're going to think very hard about it. So now we're here. We are in the underwater city, which we are just about to leave. But we're here, so that's nice. Yeah, Jack is confused at this point, as well you might be, and says, "Where are we? What is this place? This underwater city? That's a stupid idea." And Issa says, "We'll go back to the normal background. We don't need that background. It's fine. We're not, like I said, we're not going to be here for too long." And she says, this is just a doorway. Don't worry about it. Follow me. And so you get out via a little submarine. Bathysphere, I believe is the word. It's just a little circle thing with a little propeller. Also, you got a quick evolution of how I draw the characters over the course of the draw-through, because there is no consistency. Yeah, you get into a little... to a little submarine. And this is literally, the bathyspheres. And you just leave the city. It's just the little opening area of the first game. It's an Easter egg essentially, but it also kind of, this could have been removed from the game and it wouldn't really have hurt anything. But it's there and it's fine. It doesn't hurt by being here, but it also doesn't particularly help. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Yeah. So we take a little submarine and we go to the surface because again we're underwater. And up above the surface we find a lighthouse. Because the beginning of this game mirrored the beginning of the original, where in the original there's a plane crash, and you arrive you just crash in the middle of the ocean. And there's a lighthouse here. The lighthouse here is a little different to the lighthouse that you had in the beginning of this game. It's this sort of very impressive sort of stone, sort of Art Deco-y sort of thing, I do actually, oddly, need the top of this. So, for reasons that will become apparent later. There's a big old light on the top of it. I don't know what the light is. It's just a light. I don't know how it works. Tis a light. And it shines out into the night sky. Should I have a different background for this? Maybe, actually. Let's do. Well, we can work that out as I go along. So let's have like that. It's nighttime. We go outside. It's nighttime, and there's like stars in the sky and such. There's lots of stars in the sky, so I'm gonna cheat. This is gonna look like a splatter, but there's stars, I promise. Many stars. Look at all those stars. Yeah. And this big light on top of the lighthouse, as lighthouses tend to do. Big stars, don't worry about it. It's a fantasy game. So we arrive on the surface, and we up on a little submarine, and we open the door and we walk out onto some stairs that come up here, and there's a big old door. And along the way, Issa keeps talking about like doorways and such, and she looks up to the sky as she comes out and is like, "Oh my god, look at all these doorways!" And we're like, "They're stars, right?" And she says, "No, the doorways. Well, they're not doorways, they're stars, but look at them." And we're very confused. Not a lot of this is making sense. Very Van Gogh. Submarine. Anyway, at the bottom we find a big old door. In the lighthouse at the start of the game, it was just a rickety wooden door. Here is like a big metal gold gilded thing with like Art Deco statues on it and so on and so forth. So we get to this door, and he says like, "Brilliant! Let's go. Alas, there is a problem. Jibby, would you do the honors?"
The door's bolted shut.
Fantastic. I was half expecting that to be the starfish one, but it's fine. Yeah, we get there and it's locked. I'm like, oh crap. And he says like, "No. I thought once we got here that I could control this,
The
but
doors
no.
are tightly sealed. I won't be able to open them.
We won't be able to open them. They're tightly sealed. What can we possibly do?" She's like, "Why isn't this working?" Meanwhile, Jack is still very confused as to anything that's going on. It's like, underwater city? What? She's still wearing this. That's cool. I'm drawing this for a reason, even though not a lot's actually happening. I'm not drawing this for a reason. This is just me. Whatever. Hands do hands. We all know how hands work. Magic. She's still got her corset on. It's probably still a pain, must be said. Interactive content. It just came from a Sky City. What is this? So he literally says a city under the water. It's ridiculous. It's like, you just came from the sky. You silly man, you're ridiculous. Occasionally this game has a sense of humor. Not often though. Sky City, obviously. Sea City, what is this? Fresh hell. Yeah, so we get to this lock and we're like, oh god, why is this? And then a key appears in her hand. Sort of appears. I think there's a ding. Ding. Oh, here we are. Allow. First, the first whore of the stream. And she's like, it's a key. I get it now. And Jack's like, I don't. What's happening? And so she unlocks the door. And we go through. And on the other side of the door is this again. So we sort of go in, we come out the door that we go in. But instead, slight change of plan. Key go in lock. I'm gonna get rid of these, it's just gonna be annoying. We have some more lighthouses. It's very inefficient. I know. It's terrible, really. Fun fact, if you hold down Alt while dragging, it just automatically copies and pastes. Very handy for stuff like this. Yeah. Basically, as far as the eye can see, just like thousands of lighthouses. And Jack, I think relatively rightly says, what's this? And he says that other worlds. Doors. You see, they weren't stars, they were doors. By which he means oops. All of these lights. It is implied that the stars in the night sky that we saw are just lights on top of billions of lighthouses. Sort of stretch out infinitely as far as we can tell. We're getting to the infinite part of the game now. This is called Bioshock Infinite for a reason. Hold on, people get mad at you for not using your final ability in a ranked match. I understand that's a fighting game thing. I don't know what it means though. Also, we can see stars through the lighthouses. That is not deliberate. I can't be bothered to fix it. I was going to make a comment there, but it's technically spoilers. Not for this game. So, yeah. And we're just sort of walking along, and it's like platforms are sort of being built in front of us. It's kind of surreal. But we're just like, what do you mean, infinite worlds? It's like, all of these worlds, they're all the same, but they're all different. Constants and variables, I believe, is the phrase that she likes to use, even though they are... It sounds impressive until you think that they're just mutually exclusive, so everything's a constant or a variable. But whatever. And she says, like, all of these worlds, they have things in common, but they're all slightly different as well. So in some, in every world, in all of these worlds, there's always a city, there's always a man, and there's always a lighthouse. And that's the connection between the first game and Infinite, and that's all you get. But the implication being that these are all parallel worlds, right? And they all of these sort of stories start the same way. That there's always a man, there's always a lighthouse, there's always a city. Setting up for another sequel that just didn't happen. And yeah, and in some universes, we've been to some universes. We've seen how some of these change. In some of them, people die. In some of them, they stay alive. In some they make a decision. In some they make the opposite of the decision. These are all ever so slightly different, but all also containing things that are exactly the same. And so Issa just sort of waffles on about this for a bit, while Jack is rather confused. We eventually get to another lighthouse where we can open the door and go through. This is where I'm going to start getting the order of things slightly confused. I think now it's this, but... Okay, this happens again, right? I'm not going to draw this. This happens again, but with the lighthouses from the start of the game, rather than these ones. And we start seeing like copies of ourselves walking around having this same conversation, but from different universes. So we're starting to sort of intersect with different things that are happening. Don't worry about it. Lots of talk about parallel universes. If you understand vaguely how a parallel universe works, you'll be fine. Constants and variables. Then we open a door and go somewhere more interesting. We go to a river. A river with a lovely metaphorical fork, and a small hillock in the middle. I like the word hillock because it just means hill. I think there's a little shack on top of it or something. And there's some shrubbery. It's quite nice. You get it. You just also hate it. Well, hold on to your hats. Yeah, we come to a river. We're in the full surreal bit. We just went through a door and now we're in a river. None of this is sort of realistic at this point, but it's not supposed to be. We are in metaphysical mumbo-jumbo land. As is Issa's wont, it turns out. She's very much the one leading the way here. Right, and so what's important about this river? Well, there are a bunch of people in it. Standing in the middle of the river. In particular, somebody who looks relatively similar. Who I will not be able to draw, looking relatively similar. Should we... How am I going to do this? Let's just drag this up, right? And then we'll use this as a background, because I'm going to need to do various shots of this. So I'll just have this as a nice little transparent background, over which we can draw the main action. Yeah, there's a bunch of people standing around in a river. How do humans stand? I don't know. Hold it. Yeah, again, apologies for the fact that this just won't look like the person. I'm not even entirely sure it's supposed to be the same person, but for narrative purposes, why not? I also can't remember how to draw them, so it's going to be an issue. Welcome to the world of tomorrow! The world of yesterday, in fact. Because this fellow is the priest of some description. Akin to the priest that we saw right at the beginning of the game who tried to drown us. Remember that guy? I don't know if he's still blind, or if he looks younger here. That's the point. And there's essentially a big old baptismal thing happening in a river. And he's like, do you want to cast away the life that came before? Do you want to be reborn anew in the river of the river? I don't know baptism stuff. He's like, step this way if you wish to be reborn and cast your sins out, so on and so forth. And Jack is like, I know this place. I've been here before. It says it's about, let's say about 20 years prior. This is just after Wounded Knee, he says. He was having a bit of a bad time. Do you remember Wounded Knee, where the massacre of a bunch of Native American people? Yeah, Jack wasn't feeling too hot about that, and decided to try and find ways of making himself feel better. And he thought one of the things he could do maybe was religion. Maybe feel a bit better. Be reborn. And so he was like, okay, well, how about this? Baptized in the river. There's a bunch of other people here as well. Do I have to draw them? They're implied. There's other people. They're here as well. Just sort of standing around in a circle. It's fine. And he's like, I remember being here, but like, I don't remember doing it. And he sort of gets invited forwards, and he's like, do you want to cast away your sins, etc., etc.? Do you want to be forgiven for all that you've done? And evidently Jack's in a bad way at this point in his life. So he's like looking for a way out, looking for an escape or whatever. So he's like, I'll give it a go. I don't know why I'm really drawing this, because it's a relatively quick scene. Allow. There's a lot of auto modding going on in this stream. I understand. Guy tried to drown you. This was 20 years prior. I guess the more important question would be, why did he let him do it again 20 years later? But that's a different question. In fact, I do know the answer to that, and we'll get to that. And he shoots the priest, the people, and himself. The end. But yeah, just like right at the last minute, just as he's gonna have his head dunked in the water, he's like, it's 20 years ago, and also now. We're sort of hopping through space and time right now. But like I say, Jack says, oh, I know this place. And he's like, he recognizes the people here, and having been here, this is like kind of in his memories. This is in his past. Again, we're in pure metaphysics at this point. We are not in a physical location anymore. We're just sort of hopping through time. Anyway, Jack's like, no, bugger, stop it. Doesn't make the whole thing more confusing. Hey, you have a narrator to ask questions. That's better than you have in the game. So yeah, Jack's like, no, I'm not going through with this. This is stupid. You think a dunk in the water is going to get rid of everything that I've done? Stupid idea. Don't know why I even bothered. And he didn't go through with it. He's like, he had a go at it, and right at the last minute, he's like, nah. That ain't going to change anything. Yeah, we're sort of seeing his memories. You may ask why. That is a good question. We'll get to that. He's like, get your hands off me, you bugger. No, don't wanna go in the woods. It's not bath time. No. Again, I apologize if any of this part of the story is done in the wrong order. It is a little bit confusing, this bit. Hopefully I can do it as much justice as it deserves. Hopefully I can do it justice, and I don't mean that as a compliment. Anyway, yeah, he's like, no, don't want to baptize. And the priest's like, yeah, don't you want to be reborn? No. I think he does explicitly say, like, a dunk in the river is not going to change what I've done or whatever. So that happens. You're doing great, derogatory. What happens now? I think we cut forward now. Oh, what does he say? He says something like he pulls away and he's like, "Oh, just stop! Why are we even here?" You know. You know, you've got all these doors. You can open them to anywhere you want. Why don't we just open one to Paris or whatever? Just open one to. We can leave. We can do whatever we want now. And he says like, no. Jack's like, oh yeah, Jefferson's dead. Why are we even bothering? And he says like, no, he's dead in our world, but he's still alive in millions and millions of others, and we're gonna get to the bottom of that. And again, I can't remember precisely what the transition is. Why? Why? Why would you bother? Because Issa has a grudge. You know, it's taken at least 2 Issas at this point to get to the point of killing 1 Jefferson. And you want to level that playing field? I'm trying to remember how this goes now. This is really annoying. Basically, Jack says, why don't we just leave? And Issa's like, no, we're getting to the bottom of this, and then opens the door. You open the door, and you go somewhere. You go somewhere relatively familiar. Have a room. Simple 1-point perspective. Just go to Paris, Issa. She can do after this. She can go to 1 billion in Parises. Paris? Going through all the realities, killing Jefferson seems fun. So there's only one and he becomes all-powerful. Is that how that works? Judging by the way people have been dealing with being dead in one universe and alive in another, I would guess it becomes just a confused mess. Rather than all-powerful, but hey. We arrive in a room that seems somewhat familiar because we've seen it before. That would be the familiarity component. Look how centered that is. Whoa, just amazing skills. It's a door. You don't have to worry about making a strike, Chris. It's fine. Thanks for explaining the familiarity. Yeah, they made a movie about it with Jet Li. Why? Well, you see, they actually made millions of them and then threw the rest away. That's why that one was so good. So yes, we arrive at the dream office. Do you remember when we kept getting drowned?
That won't work. The lock's badly rusted.
Lock's badly rusted. Yeah, so we arrive back here, and then there's like a thing on the door that says like, Jack Walters, private investigator into matters both private and public. I don't know why I remember that. Of all the things to remember in the game, I don't know why I remember that. So yeah, this is the one where we keep waking up in a dream and arriving in this place, which is evidently our little office area. Where we used to do stuff. Can't wait for us to arrive to the conclusion where all the confusing bits get spelled out for your simple brain. Yes, that'll happen. So, yes. I hate how scribbly this looks, and that's no reason to. It's a draw through. We're not here for precision. However, slightly different from previous times. There is only one person here in the door, in front of the door. We've previously seen people behind the door. We haven't seen people behind the door because they're behind a door. But we have heard people behind a door, and we have seen two people in front of a door. Now it's just one. I hate drawing feet in this perspective. Shoes in particular. Feet I could probably deal with. Shoes, pain. And who's it gonna be? Not a very well-fitting suit there, is it? Who's behind door number 3? That's right, it's the guard who sometimes lies and sometimes tells the truth. He wasn't allowed to be in the game. It's Jack, but cooler. No, it is a character we have seen several times before. In fact, many times before. However, oddly, never in this configuration, as it were. It's a weird way to put it. What's going on with his hair? It was me, Dio! No. Doesn't help that I've never drawn him from the front. It's Mr. Locksman. It is Fortner Locksman. On his own. No Flora this time. First time we've seen him without Flora. Gosh, faces, heads, chins, just all. Can we ban them? They're just a nuisance, really. Yes, and he is standing there and he is saying, bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. And Jack is like, yeah, I remember this. This is the deal. This is why I went to Colombia. This is why I came to get you. This is a deal with this guy. What debt? Jack has a lot of debts. He might be a gambler, and also many other things. He's not good. He's not doing well. There's like betting stubs all over the desk and all this sort of stuff. He's got debts. He mentions at some point in the game that it's like he has debts with the sort of people you really don't want to have debts with. It was a deal with this guy. He never mentioned this before. Curious. Like he didn't recognize this man. Curious. Issa, who is here, yeah, Jack says, oh yeah, this is the deal. I made a deal with this guy, go to Colombia and then I'll save you. And Issa's like, really? That's what happened? Are you sure that's what happened? Because I don't think you leave this place until you go through this door. Remember? The other door. What do you mean, are we sure? I don't think Jack's sure of anything, but that will become more apparent as time goes on. There is the other door. The scary door. It's just another door. I don't know why I'm drawing it. Do you remember there was another door? In our original dream, it was locked. In the second dream, we went through it. No. Oh, in the second dream it was also locked, but in the third dream we went through it. Why are you the protagonist? That in and of itself is an interesting question. Not because of the answer, but because of the question.
The lock on the store is broken.
It was locked, but now it isn't. And now we get to go through it. What is in there? How do I draw this? I didn't think about this. That I don't have an awful lot of experience drawing these. But we'll give it a go. We'll draw Jack first. Because he does go through the door. You have to. There are no choices in this game that matter. That's kind of the point. Constants and variables. It sounds impressive, doesn't it? Again, constants and variables are mutually exclusive. It's like saying there's nice food and not nice food. That's restaurants. What an observation. That's kind of right. Look at those schnoz. Yes, because the neckerchief is really the most important thing in this scene, isn't it? I can delay it no further. How do I draw this? I picked a bad perspective. You're substituting BNs for popcorn? BNs? Jack is sure of exactly one thing, and that's how silly an undersea city is. Indeed. Okay, let's skew the perspective ever so slightly to make this easier for me. Oh, I remember BN. I completely forgot about this. The biscuits have the advert with the Muppets. Yeah, BN. Do. They'd be nice. Didn't they come in a tube? There's a baby in this room. And Jack's like, I don't remember a baby. Is there a baby here? Good question. For the sake of not drawing legs, I'm just gonna have this have a nice little fabric thing at the bottom. Good question. Meanwhile, at the door, the new door, the interior door rather than the exterior, we have a rather persistent man. Who is reiterating. What is he reiterating to me? This is a test. I've said it long enough. Get the girl, wipe away the debt? Close. Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. Only the meaning has somewhat changed. Given that you're now standing in a room with a baby. Hey look, Fauna, it's now your turn to look nothing like yourself. Etc. He's wearing a suit, as well you know. That one wasn't even Jib. Wipe out the girl. That's a new one. This is Jack's baby. It's a big conclusion to jump to. I'll tell you now, the name of this baby is not Issa. You might be able to guess from context clues what the name of the baby is. Thought you were onto something. Interesting. Yeah. So Jack's like, what's going on? I don't remember a baby. What is happening? And Issa's standing in the corner like, you know what he wants, and you don't leave this room till you give it to him. Stop sounding like that. And so obediently, as the controller of the player character, you press X to pick up a baby, and then press X to hand over baby. At which point Forda says, "Thank you. Mr. Jefferson absolves you of all your sins," and then closes the door and walks away. This is Jack's baby. It's Jack's baby. This is Jack's baby, yes. Or was. Just gave it away. So F is paying respects. X is to sell the baby. Yes. Jack's in a lot of debt. Press X to doubt. That's the entire game. You can't do that now. Way too late on that quick time event. It is his baby. So you go through the door after him. And obviously the door leads to a boat. Because we're in metaphysical Weirdland. And the first thing you see through the boat is Issa looking at you very judgingly. X turned out. You sold her baby. You're judging him too. Wait. You just wait. And Jack's like, I'm confused. What's happening? I don't remember any of this. And Issa's like, bring us the girl, wipe away the debt. That's what they said. And Jack's like, no, that was me going to Colombia to save you, to bring you back. That was the whole point. I got a box in a boat. This boat, actually. That was the whole point of this endeavor, this enterprise. At which point, Issa points out that... How does perspective work? Points out that our nose is bleeding. You're right, Jack, you don't look yourself. We're responsible for our cross-dimension actions, or are we not? We'll get to that. It's the last stream. You're not often going to hear me say that again, but we will get to that. Well, we won't get to responsibility, but we kind of will. At no point have I said Issa is Jack's daughter. The baby was not called Issa. In fact, I'll tell you right now what the baby was called. The baby's name is Berry. You chose that name right at the beginning of the Drawthrough, do you remember? And this is what Jefferson was talking about when he says he remembers he knows about all of Jack's past misdeeds, like Wounded Knee and Peking and Berry. He was referring to him selling his child. It's windy. Which we didn't do at that point, but we did. We don't remember doing it. That much I can say. Jack is fairly convinced he doesn't remember any of this. But by the same token, his nose is bleeding. Issa, meanwhile, is having none of it. There. It's windy. It's windy in several directions, apparently. So many nosebleeds, I know. What is this, an anime? How do hands work? Yep, like that. Cool. Thought a bleeding nose was supposed to imply you remember something from a different dimension. That's what the game has told us to believe so far. There are a couple of other people in this boat as well. One of them's rowing, the other one isn't. You choose frustration from across the oceans. They knew what they were getting themselves in for. They've got their big hats on. They're there. It's the same people from the beginning. One of them's rowing and one of them isn't. Etc. Etc. So Ace is like, your nose is bleeding. You're confused. Well, I understand. I have no sympathy. You sold the child. I'm trying to remember what happens now. No, he didn't, or did he? I think we go straight to the thing. We go to the regret, I think, is the next thing. So we go to the lighthouse. We're much like the very, very first scene of the game. We're in this boat. We're going across the ocean. Horrible, stormy weather. We're heading towards the lighthouse. Same lighthouse as the beginning of the game. We get off the boat. We walk towards the lighthouse. And we open the door, and on the other side of the door is an alleyway, which we do not recognize. But did he row? No, he doesn't row. I can't wait to explain that and have Chibi just be very angry at me. 2 bones. What can I do without? Toes? I'm guessing I don't get a choice. Right, we come across an alleyway. In an alleyway are a few people. Well, yes. Technically true. And adjacent to the alleyway is another person. Why am I doing this so small? To illustrate that this is at the end of a long alleyway. It's fine, we're zooming in now. Person number 1 in the alleyway is Mr. Fauna. Looking somewhat perturbed. I think we've got time to get this done. There's not an awful lot else to do. Glad I didn't try and do it last stream. Actually, I think for once, I think his eyes are actually relatively wide open. Doesn't have that usual pursuit look. Who else is here? There's a man. There's another man with a big beard. Do you know what I've just thought? there's a painting that's sort of through the game as part of the concept art. But as is often the case, if you can fit concept art into a game, it adds value. So you do see it around the game, of a painting of like young Jefferson. It's just a random aside. And it really doesn't look anything like Jefferson. I've always thought this. It looks more like a kind of Moriarty kind of character, very sort of thin nose and all that sort of stuff. But it's supposed to be young Jefferson. It's just, I've just realised just how like inaccurate it is. Anyway. How do you draw babies? I don't know. Anyway, he's holding the baby. Like I say, I probably should have thought about this before doing this part of the stream, like how to draw babies. Babies are relatively important to this part of the story, as you can probably ascertain. Baby's expression. So what's going on? I don't agree with this story. I wouldn't describe you as quite as stocky as I've drawn you, but ho hum, if this was all about accuracy, I would have failed a long time ago, so let's just carry on. This baby can speak 4 sentences. Babies, look, I studied the Renaissance painters. I know the babies are just adults with just small. And in this glowing hole in the wall, we have fauna. No, flora. Sorry, fauna's there. Flora's here. And she's saying, come on, hurry up. This machine's not going to last all that long. Got to jump through. And Fauna's like, this does not look stable. I'm not comfortable with this. You sure this is going to work? I don't want to get caught and it closes off and bad things are going to happen, okay? So they're having a little bit of an argument about stuff. About stepping through a glowing hole in the wall. I don't know why this happens in an alleyway, but it does. Atmosphere, I guess. Yeah, Jack. Not happy about this. Because that's his baby. And he runs across screaming, "Give me back my daughter!" Ah! And this is the impetus that these people needed to jump through the magical hole in the wall. So they jump through the hole in the wall, but Jack manages to sort of grab, censoring. Where censors? Who censors? The baby can speak 4 sentences. It's fine. So Jack attempts to grab before they go through auto mod. I didn't see an auto mod. There was one earlier. Yeah, there was one earlier for wipe out the girl. Bring us to death, wipe out the girl. Ooh, how am I going to do this? Some happy music. So yeah, magical hole in the wall. All glimmery and shimmery. It just looks like it's covered in frosting. It's not. It's glowy. And through the hole in the wall, we've got the people. They've gotten through. In particular, there's Beardman, who is implied by the previous scene to be Jefferson, albeit he looks a lot younger. What with having color in his beard. Did I mention his beard's white and his hair's white? Anyway, it wasn't a game. Here it's dark. He's like trying to pull through, but like Jack grabs hold of the baby and they're sort of tugging through this thing. Like, give me back my daughter! It's like, turn off the machine quickly! Oh god! I have an idea of how to do this. I don't know if it's gonna work though. He's like, turn off the machine. It's difficult doing moments of sort of like quick fire tension when you're trying to draw. I can't do it really. It's folly. Why do I do this? Yeah, and grabs Jack. No, I'm not going to finish that sentence. Jack is grabbing. Jack is grabbing through the hole. Speaking of holes. Yeah, he's grabbing through the hole and the baby's there. It's like, oh, what's going on? I don't know, I'm a baby. There. I'm Bab. Some scruffy hair. But at the last moment, for pulling free of the swaddling cloth or whatever, as it's being pulled through, as the baby's being pulled through, Jack loses control, and bury the Bab.
Father, I do not understand. I am helpless, Bab.
Helpless Bab. How? Hands? Even baby hands. They're their hands. How do they work? Bab hands. Does that look like a hand? Is that the right way round? Probably not. They're babies. It's fine. Babies are like formless, right? You can pour them into a jug and they just fit it. I think that's how that works. So yeah, just as it's being pulled through, it holds out his hand like, oh no! Father, why hast thou forsaken me? And then... Can I do this? I might be able to do this. Hang on, let me... What's going on? Then I can make like that for the hole, and do this. So if I'm not entirely incorrect, sort of works, not really though. What I could do is I could do this behind, and then go like, this is the portal. That's cats, babies, whatever. Anyway, the portal starts to close, and it's like, oh no, portal closing time. This is working relatively well. Portal is closing. Oh no, baby's reaching out for that. Oh no, Bab. Goodbye, portal close. Oh no. And shriek. And what we're left with is a badly drawn disembodied Bab finger. Just sort of flying through the air, gracefully, in slow motion. Because the magical hole in the wall closed with the finger on the other side. Barry is Issa. Congratulations! At no point did I say that it wasn't Issa, I just said that their name was Barry. We now return to the room. Where is the room? There it is. Issa is Jack's daughter. Yes. You're not here anymore, go away. Well, we'll get to that. Come on, we're almost done. We're almost done. There's like 3 more drawings to do and we'll be done. I say 3 more drawings. Quite a lot of drawings, but the copy and paste can help us. Issa is Jack's daughter, albeit she was called Barry. And then when Jefferson took her, renamed her Issa. So now you understand why at the beginning of this story, I was trying to make it absolutely certain that Issa was not supposed to be a love interest. Yeah, so this time passes visibly as we're sort of recounting the past of Jack. I think things have not gone well. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. And Issa's sort of like narrating this directly to Jack's face, because Jack apparently can't remember any of this. That would have been awkward. Yeah, so time passes, like 20 years pass. 20 years? About 20 years. And Issa's saying, like, you spent 20 years in this room unable to sort of deal with what you did. Falling into, you know, drink and depression and just not generally having a really bad time. And like this place is now just sort of destitute and scruffy and... Can a place be destitute? I don't know. Like you got the classic peeling of the wallpaper. Like holes in the walls. Etc, etc. He's showing Jack all of this, yeah. He doesn't remember any of this at all. This is just all knowing now. Kind of, yes. She can see multiple realities at once. The reason is somewhat ill-explained, but I will go over it once we're done. Now, aside from she's got and has all the powers. Yeah, she's got the powers. Why she has the powers is an interesting question, but we're not doing that. And she says, you know, you spent all this time in this room and you were just, you know, you regretted it so much. You carved my initials in the back of your hand. Barry Walters, BW. This is why I needed the name right at the beginning. I only really needed the initial, but whatever. And so that was this sort of like penance of just sort of like carving the initials in the back of his hand. And then she says, until one day, a man arrives. It's kind of weird. He sold his daughter and he's feeling depressed about it, right? Yeah, the BW in his hand, Barry Walters. Feels real bad about it. And then she says, until one day, a man turns up and offers you a way out. Yeah, it's AD in the actual game because different names. But which I think fits better with the religious theme, AD, but whatever. And then another hole appears in the wall. Big old magical hole in the wall. All of this is so much less subtle than Bioshock's reveal. Bioshock's reveal is very good. This is very much on the nose. But there's a lot of questions and interesting bits and bobs that you can sort of think into. Just if you think, don't take it too seriously. Bioshock is I played this first. I really do love this game for all of its complete nonsense. But Bioshock, having played it second, it's just better. It's just better in lots and lots of ways. But I wanted to. It wouldn't have been half as fun to draw through, if only just for the chibi screaming. Oh no, sorry. So in the not very twistiest twist of all, people on the boat were the locksmiths. Of course they were. They're bloody everywhere. Talking about experiments and all sorts of weird things that don't make sense. Of course it's the locksmiths. But yeah, apparently this is how this came to be, is they just appeared via a portal in his room and offered him a way out. So they're like, yeah, come through. Step through the portal. At which point, Jack does step through the portal and proceeds to just lose it, by which I mean collapses. Everything goes fuzzy and static and weird. Stepping through portals is not good for your mental health, alright? They are, were, will be, never were, and always have been. Precisely. Now you're starting to get it. When you looked up Issa's age and saw her dad's voice, you're like, yeah, that makes sense a moment, rather than, oh, his dad, who? Ooh. It's at this point that the locksmans just sort of like carry him to the boat. Just unconscious. I'm pretty sure he's like staring up at the sky. It's like, and they start talking about him because what else are they gonna do? Jack is originally from a different dimension. Yes. Bring our life there. And they start talking about the brand on your hand, as if to say, like, I think they say that must be his sort of hair shirt as a sort of penance. Oh yeah, that must be his hair shirt as he is ours. And like Flora's again, much like the beginning of the game. Massive nose going on there. Much like the beginning of the game, Flora is being very dismissive of this entire exercise and doesn't believe that it's going to work at all. Because we have now just stepped back into the beginning of the game. Watch it, a hair shirt. A hair shirt is a sort of like, it's a show of penance, as it were. You to wear a hair shirt is just sort of like to forego. How do I explain this? It's sort of like if it, a sort of deliberate sort of self-punishment-y sort of thing. Like to wear a hair shirt is to sort of, wear something that's just deliberately unpleasant. Because it's all itchy and it's horrible and such. And it's, cheap. You could have so much better fabrics. There's really good clothes out there. I recommend them. Don't wear hair shirts. But it's just become a sort of terminology for that, really. I know it from the sitcom Yes Minister. I don't know how to draw these hats. Is it apparent? They look like paper hats. They're supposed to be like yellow waterproof hat sort of things. I don't know. It seems silly if you're going to have a waterproof hat to have like a brim in it. That seems like a terrible idea. It is to catch water. What's the point of that? So I think I've probably drawn it wrong. Oh yeah, and they're talking about Jack's brain going a bit weird, as we have ascertained. People, the whole sort of interdimensional memory thing causes problems. And if you remember, right at the beginning of the game, the very, very first thing I said, very, very first thing, and this is why I was perfectly happy talking about the fact that this game has all sorts of mumbo-jumbo in it before we got there, because the very first thing you see in the game is an excerpt from a book by a Flora Locksman, which says that the mind attempts to create memories where none previously exist. And that's what's being talked about here. That was from a book. I can't remember what the book's called, something transdimensional travel or whatever. And that's what's happening here. Jack's like, his brain's short-circuiting. Why can't you look like you? It would be lovely if you could look like you, but you just refuse. Whatever, it's them. He's wearing a big old jacket. It's fine, don't worry about it. Yeah, his memory's messed up, and so he's sort of like trying to form memories from the bits and pieces he can remember, and this is where the whole bring us the girl, wipe away the debt thing sort of came from. It's like, he remembers that saying because that's what caused him to lose his daughter, and that's the thing that's like, you know, stuck in his head. But he's sort of reinterpreting it for the situation that he's been put in this world, which is he has a boat and a picture of a card saying, get this girl. And so they're like, well, we can take advantage of that. Let's weave it into our narrative. Why not? So the whole bring us the girl, wipe away the debt thing confusion is effectively deliberate. See, she can look like herself. Why don't you? Honestly. Also, your hat is huge. Look at that massive hat. It's a sombrero. How do you drag? Probably actually gonna need the arms, actually, aren't you? So yeah, they're dragging him to the boat. They're talking about how he's sort of trying to form memories based on the things that he does know, and there's other things and this is why he can't remember anything. Because as you travel through a portal, your brain gets messed up. In fact, Fauna mentions that. You know, she says it's, or Flora says, oh, it's just like your theory that the brain is sort of rewires and creates new memories based on old ones. And Fauna says, I should know, I lived it. And that's why he doesn't look the same here, because reasons. Nothing to do with me. No siree. Etc, etc. We're going to a boat. It's the sea. We're on a rock. There's the sea. We're going to a boat. So back on the boat. Where's the boat? There's the boat. Issa is just as grumpy as ever, and Jack is actually starting to remember things, and he's like, oh, I sold you. To which Flora pipes up and says, because yeah, again, this is Flora, pipes up and goes, in your defense, you did attempt to weasel out of the deal. Because that really helps. That really helps our case. Can I repeat it enough? But you truly are a useless horrible man. I mean, we're not done yet. And Jack, not really knowing how to deal with this situation, comes up with an idea. It was Jefferson who he sold his child to. So maybe, just maybe, if we go back to plan A, which is kill all the Jeffersons, maybe then that would never have happened. Quite how we would have gotten out of debt, I don't know, but at the very least it eliminates a possibility. He would be a father in debt, which is better than what the situation he found himself in, by which I mean selling his daughter. So yeah, he suggests, look, let's just go back. Let's just go back. Go back to our original plan. Just take out all of the Jeffersons. We can do this. And Fauna, who it's almost like I planned how to draw this. I'm not. I didn't plan anything. But Fauna, overhearing this, says, it's difficult. Something like that. How would you know how far back to go? You know, how many possibilities are there in the life that led up to that person doing what they did? To which Jack's like, smother him in his crib. Just get rid of him altogether. So that's the current plan. Not satisfied with selling a child. Now apparently heading to kill one. We're at the point of the time travel discussion. Yes. We're going to travel through time and kill all the Jeffersons. That's the plan. And we've got to do so in 15 minutes. Which means I should probably stop doing this, but here I am, not doing that. He's rowing. He does row. He's the only one who does, and he complains about it. So we go back to the lighthouse, and we go to open the door, and Issa stops us just before we open the door, and she says, you sure you want to do this? Just when I was beginning to like you, put me in the selling murdering children. Yeah? Just wait, just wait. Yeah, so we're about to go through the door to stop. Stop saying just wait. There is literally one more scene. Don't worry about it. It just so happened you keep saying all the right things. That's all I'm saying. We get to the door. We go to push the door open, and Issa grabs our hand and goes, "Are you absolutely sure you want to do this?" And Jack's like, "Yes, let's kill this son of a bitch." And Issa's like, "Okay." And we open the door. And we arrive back here. And Jack is a little confused. It's like, why are we back here? And the priest starts talking again about baptism. Are you ready? Are you ready to be born again, to be born anew? And Issa walks up. Drawing Issa. Staring judgmentally straight at the camera. Their big eyes. And Issa says, you know, this is what you wanted. This is where it started. This is where Jefferson was born. You, in your universe, might not have gone through with the baptism. But in another universe, another Jack Walters took the hand of the priest, the baptizer, and was ready to be born again. I said just wait. Sure, I'm not drawing hands. Now you can definitely achieve rage. Hey, look, she's not just saying this herself. She can back up her point with additional witnesses, by which I mean herself. At this point, multiple Issas from multiple timelines all converge to explain what's happening. Which is that yes, in this universe, Jack Walters went through with the baptism and was born again as Jefferson. I don't think we ever gave him a first name. I think we might have done. Is it Jeff Jefferson? What a stupid name to choose for your baptism. I don't think I've ever drawn Issa without... Oh god, bloody anatomy. Hands behind back, please. Thank you. And then some more show up. Because I can't relax. I think like there's one that still has the ponytail. Yeah, and now we're here, where we are ready to do what Jack wanted to do. We are ready to kill all the Jeffersons before they even get born. Smother them in the crib, so to speak. This is dumb and stupid. And it's at this point that a couple of Issas, there's like 6 or 7 Issas in this particular scene. And they all just sort of converge around you. And some of them are like... Hang on a minute, I can save myself a bit of time. Nope, not like that. Boom. Good enough. Oh, here we are. Allow. Wife is always the same. Why did I need to admit that? Automod, you okay? How's the wife? Oh yeah, she's alright, she's always the same. Bam! That was a fun one. Let's have the long hair Issas here. And they're here and they grab Jack by the arms. Let's just keep it simple. That's how arms work in multiple senses. It's fine, don't worry about it. Yeah, a couple from either side, they grab you. It's just murder him, you hate this. And they push you under the water. I don't have a good way of doing that. So... here's what I'll do. Here's like the sort of ripply, watery texture that you'll see underneath. The water. And yeah, they hold you under, mimicking the beginning of the game. They hold you under the water till you lose consciousness and drown. And then we get a zoom out of all of the Easters standing in the river, slowly blinking out of existence. Because, hey, they screwed up their own timeline, I guess. Blah, 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 blah. And just before the last one pings out of existence, there's a little piano note, ding. And that's the end of the game. That was Bioshock Infinite. Right, what anger did I miss? Going baptized Jack at the start was right, just drown him, yeah. He died! Yep, all of them, presumably. We hate this is dumb. Right, questions. Do we have questions? I'm gonna draw chicken. You have one question. Can do. I might not have an answer. And the answer might involve rowing. Take your bones. That's not a question, that's it's a threat. I'm just gonna draw a chicken for a bit. An actual question. I'm up for questions. Questions are good. Why would Jack still agree with getting murdered when he knows it's him? Or not him? What? Why would Jack still agree with getting murdered when he knows it's him? That's the point, isn't it? Why is there suddenly a literal rebirthing system? Huh? I mean, it's just that's just the baptism. It's wipe away. This was right after Wounded Knee. He wanted to forget everything up until that point in his life. So he's just like, I'm a new person now. Boom, new name, etc., etc. Yeah, die so Jefferson doesn't happen again. Jefferson, yeah. That's right. It's hard keeping track of all the names. Yeah, it's again, smother him in his crib. It just so happens that the crib was his baptismal font. He was not born, he was born again. Why would you kill the Jack that didn't do the baptism? They killed all of them before that could happen. Gotta be sure. That's what Jack wanted. As Fauna said, how far back do you know how to go in order to do the job? And Jack's response was, smother him in the crib. It was Jack's idea. Jaffa cakes. Not killing the child in the crib that's killing the parent? No, it's the same person. I don't know how your parents... Did your parents just sort of morph into you? Okay, it's less smothering in the crib and more just... I don't want to go down that analogy. Let's not go down that analogy. But it's smothering pre-crib. Unfortunately, the answer is that there's a lot about this end sequence which is ill-explained. And there are many plot holes. If you want to pick this apart, you are absolutely welcome to. You will not be the first. Jackass Jefferson says, like, well, all of me gotta die, so him never happen again. I think it's a bit like the kind of the scar on the back of the hand. I will sacrifice my own pleasure to make sure my daughter is safe. I guess that's the idea. I doubt they wanted to kill a baby on screen. I think there's probably more to it than just... We wrote this entire story that involved killing a baby, and then last minute, oh no! Get all the Jeffersons are Jack, but not all the Jack are Jeffersons. So why would you kill all the Jacks to kill all the Jeffersons? I guess you're killing all of the Jacks that at least got to the baptism stage. I guess as is a kind of nice mathematical system, like, it doesn't matter if you over-prove. You still managed to prove. If you prove, you prove more than you intended to, you've still managed to improve what you wanted to. So if you kill more Jacks than you need, you still got them all. If you can be sure, if that's the point that you can be sure you got all of them, that's the point you can be sure. But also, how many universes does this entail? Maybe there are other universes where this didn't happen. There's lots of problems with this story. Also, this is post. No, it's not actually. It's pre. Yeah, that's why they that's why all the Isas disappear, I guess. Because this is pre. Is this pre Isa? Must be. Yeah, of course it is. That's why Jefferson wants a child. He doesn't have a child. Pre-Barry, I should say. Isa knows all futures and universes, so she would know exactly which Jacks become Jeffersons, so there's no reason to kill the Jacks that don't become Jeffersons. These are all very valid questions that I'm certain I had when I finished the game, and the only real answer I can give you is the more questions you ask, the less you're going to enjoy the game. So feel free to just get angry at the game. I decided to embrace the chaos. But yeah, as soon as you start getting into parallel universes and making decisions in those parallel universes that affect other ones, there are going to be plot holes. It's just unavoidable. Completely unavoidable.
Fuck this game.
Thanks, Hazel. You were saying what we're all thinking.
I'm on my way to steal your bones.
Well, if that's what's happening, I could at least explain why I kept talking about rowing. And this is like we're going to end on a really unsatisfying note if this is how I'm going to end it. Just let you draw for all the Halo series next time. Space Gun go brr. I'd watch that. So every time you asked a particular sort of question, I answered, and it was a particular sort. I answered with because he doesn't row. And the reason I answered that is because right at the beginning of this game, which we now know to also kind of be the ending, we hear the Locksmans talking back and forth about the fact that Fauna is rowing and Flora isn't. And Flora says, why don't you just get him to row? To which Fauna says, he doesn't row. Flora then responds, what do you mean he doesn't row? To which Fauna says, no, he doesn't row. And Flora goes, I see what you mean. Now, the difference here, this is nonsense. When you first play the game, this is just a conversation of absolute nonsense. After you've played the game, it makes a little bit more sense. Particularly, as Kiro pointed out, with the coin flip. If I go right back to the beginning of this thing, which was like stream 2 or 3, I can't remember exactly which. 2, perfect. The coin flip. Just as he doesn't row, he flips heads. How many universes is this going through? This is converging on, theoretically, if the name of the game is to go anything to go by, infinitely many universes are happening. Constants and variables. Some things are the same and some things are different. And it turns out, in all the universes, he doesn't row. And in all the universes, he flips heads. And this is part of the experiment. It's trying to find out how they can change the course of events. What's a constant? What's a variable? And so when they say he doesn't row, what they mean by that is, it's not that he can't row, it's not that he's not, he doesn't want to, it's that he won't. It's just a cosmic fact. In this universe, he doesn't row. And so every time you ask the question, which was like, how did he survive that fall? Why was this person where they were at this particular time? Why did this coincidence happen? The answer is, because he doesn't row. Because that's just what happens in this universe. And it's such an unsatisfying answer. But that is the answer to the question. The reason so many things happen in this game is because they just happen. They have to, in order for this story to occur. That is why we are seeing this story, is because the story occurs. It has to be in a universe in which the story occurs. It's a really terrible reason from a storytelling perspective, but in universe, it does actually make sense. So yeah, the reason so many things happen in this game is simply because he doesn't row. He doesn't row, he flips heads. He survives the fall. Angry chimp. We are just seeing the universes in which that is always the case. And as Kiro sort of pointed out, these heads that are being flipped, these are heads from different universes. They are trying this experiment across universes. And Flora is convinced this is not going to work and that this is all a constant. And Fauna is convinced that maybe we can actually go back and change this before everything goes wrong. I should specify what I mean by everything going wrong. Issa's finger, Berry's finger, however you want to state it. That's the reason she can make tears. Because part of her is in one universe, and part of her is in another. And so, like, the bits are trying to reach back to each other. So that's why she can sort of, like... Because she's being stretched across universes, and as a consequence, can sort of tunnel between them. So that's where her power comes from, essentially. The Locksmans can do it through science. But, or they could before they were killed. Yeah, that's her power. She's part in one universe and part in another. And that's why she can that's why she is interdimensional. And I guess the only other question that sort of really is open is the fact that why did Jefferson steal a child? Answer, he's sterile. We talked about that. He wants a child, so he thought, well, I've got access to other universes with me's in them, so I'll steal my own child. That seems fair, right? And so they found a universe, or they went just straight to the universe, presumably with the Fauna, who at this point is probably hopefully clear that it's just Flora from another universe. The brother-sister thing they were talking about, they're the same person, just one's male, one's female. Separated by a single chromosome. I believe that was said at some point. And in that universe, there was not a Jefferson, he didn't get baptized. And he still has the kid. Or he has a kid. It's been so long, the finger will have decomposed, so she's just there forever now. Yeah, she's just omnipotent. Experiments made him sterile, also aged him too. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other thing, is that he seems a lot older than Jack, but that's because of artificial aging due to the experiments. Which I feel is a bit of a cop-out, but what are you gonna do? It's also why I meticulously gave him a big nose all the way through. I tried to make his face match Jack's as much as possible. Given my limited scope. I did think about things. So yeah, now I think you might get an idea as to why so many people have mixed feelings about this game. And you bash his brains on a baptismal bowl. Yeah. It's symbolism. He was born by the baptism and he died by the baptism. And that's Bioshock Infinite. Taking your noise points and you're out of here. Again, like you could take elements of this game and make an actually really good, compelling, self-contained story. They didn't, unfortunately, but you could. You put them back. No, they deserve better than this game. We can take the Locksmans, the Chicken, the Noise Boys, anything else we want to take out of this? Issa, well, we don't have to take Issa out. Issa's already out. The Chibies now. You missed the stream they were in and Chibi stole them, so... Mixed in there was varying levels of disappointment and rage. I really liked it. But then again, I hadn't played Bioshock 1, so... I still really like this game. It's... but again, as I've said, the clarification with this is that I really like this game, but I also like Stephen Moffat, so... Take that as you will. They're your children now. That's great. Miss has the Locksmans. No, Miss has Chicken. I have the Locksmans. Jib has the Noise Boys. Anyone else want to pillage anything from this game? I like wibbly wobbly timey wimey nonsense. I'm a big fan of that sort of stuff. I feel like this game has a lot of problems, but in general, I like it. Again, Bioshock 1 is just... ending notwithstanding, Bioshock 1 is just really, really good. And they tried something different with this and it didn't quite work, but I admire the gusto, the chutzpah, the gumption, etc. You want a fancy moustache? Yes, you can have Gregoris Termini's moustache. You understand what it's doing and saw what it could have been, you're just upset. That's fair. You saw the potential. You saw a universe in which it was better. But yeah, there are so many places where this plot just falls apart when you just ask, why didn't they just... Bleh? To which the unsatisfying answer is, he doesn't row. Constants and variables, I guess. It's only when explaining this that the term constants and variables actually makes sense. But it's also a very unsatisfying explanation, because it's basically like, why did this happen? Because it was a constant. It doesn't row. Yeah. No, he doesn't row. Precisely. See? Lewis gets it. Yeah, and that is that. That is the Bioshock Infinite Drawthrough. I actually mainly did this to discuss the the questionable nature of the analysis of racism in this game. But turns out when you do that as a draw through, it just sort of comes and goes. It's not in much of the game. The game that killed the series. They have not made a game since. Which is a shame. I would like to see a new Shock. But as I have said before, I think Dishonored is a perfectly good continuation of this sort of style of game. So yeah, I'll consider Dishonored to be Void Shock, or whatever you want to call it. Do the egg. So yeah, that was an ending. I apologise for Chibi's blood pressure. Yeah, but at some point we will play the DLC for this, because I have not played the DLC. I don't know where the story could go from here. I mean, I know physically where it goes, but I guess we'll get to that. I say not knowing what we'll get to. Big aesthetic though, all looks very cool. It does. I think a lot of it feels a little disjointed in places. Oh, everything looks good. But you could probably divide the game areas up into like 3 distinct feelings, each of which could have been sort of more cohesive games in and of themselves. Again, it's all about like cohesion. I feel like Bioshock 1 does that very, very well, and Bioshock Infinite's a bit here and there. This game doesn't quite know what it wants to be. And as somebody who has only ever written things like that, I can sympathise. An ending until burial at sea, maybe. Oh, great! I'd love to open this up.
The door's bolted shut.
The door is bolted shut. Yeah, and you will say nothing. Hooray! So yeah, I guess the plan is that we'll play Hitman. until we finish that, however long the jungle level's going to take. And then after that, we'll play Bioshock 1 to get background for the DLC, and also because Bioshock 1's just really good. And then we'll play the Infinite DLC. And we'll find out together, by which I mean, presumably me and Chippy will find out together. I don't know who else will. Church of the Wrench. I don't know if I'm going to do... We were talking about the idea of just using telekinesis and throwing food everywhere. We'll see. I was watching a speedrunner learning new speed tech, and some weird stuff with telekinesis and like throwing things at people's heads and jumping on their heads and then flying through walls. What day is Gamer Day again? Tuesdays, traditionally. Although we might be doing it Saturday as well. Depends what's happening. We might be doing it Wednesday. We need to talk about where things are going to go, like when we do Project Via, when that's going to happen. I feel like that should be Saturday so that people have a chance to be at it, but at the same time that would overlap with RPGs. Timing! I want people to be able to do things if they want to. But yeah, so for now, Wednesday will just be a kind of wild card. We'll see what happens with that. Tuesdays is dedicated game day. Saturday is... we'll find out. And Sunday is group draw. If we don't have any plans for Saturday yet, I might just carry on Hitman. If we've worked something out in the meantime, we'll do that. Bioshock has so many interesting ways for you to play, you can't really go wrong. It's a good time. That game is... the weird thing about Bioshock is when you look into the development of it, it was a mess. They really didn't know what they wanted to do with that game until right at the very end. And it worked. And then they did Infinite, and it didn't. Sometimes the product is not necessarily representative of the... I was about to say representative of the outcome. No, that's the product is the outcome. Anyway, enough of my blather. By which I mean, this series is over. 13 hours of streams of blather. I said it would be 10. I was relatively close. Yeah, so after this, let's talk about this. Project Via. You're welcome, Chippy. Again, I didn't think the timey-wimey stuff would be necessarily the highlight of this, but evidently it was. I guess, yeah, trying to make a spectacle of an anticlimax is probably a bad idea, so the timey-wimey stuff was a bit better, but... you had the idea of too many ideas, not enough focus. Absolutely. You could probably take 2 or 3 big ideas out of this game and it would still be full enough.
Linen room.
Linen room! Right, so, Project Via. Let me give a quick explanation as to what this is. Because it will be the next Drawthrough sort of thing. We've been sort of diverging off narrative Drawthroughs for the interactive stuff because they just don't really work. And getting more and more into just sort of like a collaborative project with friends. Via, or Via. I want to say Via, because that's how I say, something via something. That's how I say it. Other people say Via, that's fine, but I say Via, so I don't know when it's just the word on its own, I say Via, it's weird. Linen room! So Project Via is, it's a collaborative project where anyone who wants to be involved can help make a adventure game world. Where anyone, basically, if you want to get involved, you will have an area in this world. If you think of something like a Zelda game, there's like a forest area or a swamp area and a desert area, and your area can be whatever it wants to be, whatever you want it to be. And so whoever wants to get involved, you can have your area, and then every week on stream we will design stuff for the game, and obviously you've got stuff for your areas, but the reason it's called Project Via, is we're going to be designing things for each other's areas. And so what I'll do is I'll sort of spin a wheel, and everybody will get a zone in the world, and a little prompt, which you can follow or not follow. You don't have to do anything. This is all just suggestion if you want to. But yeah, you'll be given an area and a little prompt, like design an enemy in the desert zone or whatever. And everyone will get a different thing. And then the next week we'll get together and talk about what we've done, or design it on the spot or whatever. You don't have to draw to be able to do this. You can just do little doodles. You can write. You could make music if you want. It's entirely up to you. Yeah, it's just going to be a fun little thing where we just design the world of an adventure game all together. Sort of. I'm thinking sort of Zelda-y sort of thing as a base. I don't know precisely what it's going to be. We'll discuss that. So if you want to get involved, think up a zone. Let me know if you want to actually get involved. We'll probably make a channel in the Discord. I think we were talking about repurposing like the Citadel of Chaos one, because that's not doing anything. Yeah. Dibs on not the underwater zone. You can be literally... your zone can be as general or as specific as you like. I think the example I gave before was like, you can have, I want swamp. Or you can have, I want upside down castle made of granite that houses the ghosts of dead goats that only eat custard. You can be as specific or as vague as you like with your zone, and then sort of flesh it out as you go along, or change it as you go along. Essentially, we're doing a sort of big round of concept art or writing or whatever. Who doesn't want a swamp? Miyazaki is certainly not in that category. Yeah, so everybody who wants to be involved, you absolutely can be. You don't have to be on stream if you don't want to. You don't have to contribute anything any week if you don't want to. Everything is a suggestion. But before we begin, it would be nice to get all the zones together so everyone knows what's available. And then we'll start throwing things around and having ideas and coming up with what this game actually is. So this is essentially designing a world for an adventure game in the same way that 16 Symbols was designing a plot for an RPG. So you were thinking the Undead Blight Kingdoms. Now Floating Goat City sounds neat. It's up to you. It's fine. I have a couple of ideas. I'm not entirely sure which one to go for, but whatever floats your goat. Is that how we're ending the stream? Oh dear. So yeah, that's Project Via. If anyone wants to get involved, absolutely let me know. Again, there's no minimum entry requiry? That's not a word. There's definitely not one of those because it doesn't exist. Requirement. You don't need any particular things, anything. You don't need time. You can do whatever you want. Just give me the name of a zone and that could be all you do for the entire thing. It's up to you. So yeah. Hope everyone has a good time. With that, whenever it starts. It'll be a while, so we might just do some random streams here and there to fill the gap. But yeah, that's what's coming up. What's also coming up tomorrow, presumably, is the Chibi Nethers Day. More War Tales, perhaps. Ooh. Or just impromptu Bioshock Infinite Falls AU. All NPCs must end conversations with a laugh. The NPCs will be one of the prompts as well. Let me also know what sort of prompts you'd like in that, because I'm thinking like there's enemies, there's NPCs, there's sort of like buildings or areas or puzzles or anything along those lines. Loot, exactly, yeah, things to loot. All sorts of stuff you can design. You can ignore any of these prompts. You can just go, I want to design an enemy. Screw your prompt. But yeah, so there's lots of things we could do. MacGuffins. Oh, MacGuffin. Definitely need MacGuffins in an adventure game. Weapons, armor, shield, spells, yeah. So yeah, I need to work on that at some point so that we can get everything up and running. I will write an explainer for everybody so that they know what's going on. And I'll set up a little website where we can put all the stuff that people make. Design a postcard of your zone. Oh, wish you were here, Blight Swamp. We need spreadsheets. No spreadsheets, it's fine. This is very rough, open, whatever. If you want to make a spreadsheet, you can. I'm just making a website that keeps all the things we make. A little sticker board. Not sticker board, what's it called? Poster board. That's a noun. Blight Swamp sounds awful. It's fine. So yeah, everyone come up with your zone. I'm looking forward to having like 5 forests because we didn't discuss in advance. I think the first stream might just be us trying to work out generally what the world is and sharing what our zones are. So yeah, feel free to keep your ideas to yourself and then have a reveal on stream. If you're not going to be on stream, let me know and I'll collect a list and I'll reveal it then. Board with pictures and red string connecting it all. Yeah, red string. Project Red String. The Blight Swamp is where the Bone and Bang musicians live. What? You're already making NPCs. We haven't started yet. We will also need to come up with a story and main character and all that sort of stuff. But we'll work that out in the future. It's fine. Yeah, thank you again for coming along. Hope you enjoyed to whatever degree of enjoyment is possible with this game, this Drawthrough. Again, Chippy Nether's Day tomorrow probably, and we'll be back Saturday with whatever we end up doing on Saturday. Yeah. Thank you for coming along, everyone. I'm looking forward to Project Via, seeing what people do. Collaborate. I want to collaborate with people. Talk about areas and things, and say, I got your area. Here's some designs. Do you like them? Etc. Yeah, have a lovely time, everyone. Look after yourselves. I'll leave you with some jazz. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.